Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. One of the less celebrated announced features of Star Citizen Alpha 3.17 is the first baby steps of introducing Quanta Economics into the game. This is a feature that CIG in general, and Tony Zurovic in particular, have been talking about for years. In fact, when Tony was first brought onto the project in 2014, it was clear Tony's degree of excitement about what would eventually become the quantum economic system.
I did a lot of financial analysis, trading software, etc. I also, happen to have a lot of interest in economic theory and business-related stuff. I never thought that there would actually be a game that would allow me to put some of those principles to work. But again, it's just kind of fate, I guess, in regards to Chris coming and saying, hey, we've got this incredibly detailed economic system that we want to drive context for the entire Star Citizen universe, and that's going to be, part of your purview. And it's just one of those things to where I see that and it's like, oh, that actually sounds really, really awesome.
But since I can't presume that you've watched all those hours of videos between then and now, I need to give first a quick summary of what the whole quantum system is about. First, what is it trying to accomplish? Well, right from the start, Chris Roberts promised a living, breathing universe. And obviously, a living, breathing universe needs a living, breathing economy. Because one only has to look at our own current real-world experiences in the last few years at store shelves and gas pumps to understand that economies can be very dynamic things. And MMOs haven't always lived up to that. Many have had a fixed economy, where some behind-the-scenes table sets the prices and quantities of every commodity at every location based on the idea of creating values that will support a gameplay balance. And that is essentially where we are right now in Alpha 3.16. The problem with static economies is that once the most profitable routes have been found out and published on a website, that's what everyone does, over and over again, presuming that they haven't completely exhausted the supply of Laranite. Sound familiar? So some games try to create an algorithmic economy, one where formulas model the economy and determine what price and supply is available of everything. These are often called player-driven economies because the only input available to the algorithm is player behavior. And other games just go entirely in that direction and just do player economies, in which nothing exists in the game unless a player creates it. And the value of that thing is whatever those players negotiate between themselves that it is. The problem is that because players are a relatively small group, a player-driven economy and player economies are very susceptible to market manipulation by said players. So Chris Roberts was asked very early in the process whether players would be able to engage in market manipulation in the verse. And Chris's answer, now quoted countless times, was that players would affect the economy, but that players would represent at most 1 out of every 10 pilots in the game. So they won't be able to do things like completely corner a market for a commodity. But that left open another question. Who were those other 9 pilots and how did they decide what they were doing? And answering that question was the start of the journey towards creating the Quanta System. You see, quantum are bots. Tony Zurovic says it takes about 100,000 of them to model a fully functioning economy. So the actions of the bots plus the actions of the players go into the algorithm that says what prices and supplies are. In addition, the actions of the bots creates what are called probability volumes. In other words, what are the chances when traveling through a section of space that you will see a non-player trader, or a miner, or a pirate attacking a trader? Now, there is a problem with using bots to simulate an economy. You see, if the code behind one bot says that the best thing to do is to deliver Laranite from HDMS Bezdek to Lorville, wouldn't the other 999,999 other bots doing the exact same calculation yield the same answer and take the same action? And if they did so, rather than creating some sort of cyclic equilibrium, you would have 100,000 bots all surging from one best activity to the next best activity, their shared decision logic said. So to prevent this from being the case, each quanta has a set of weightings, risk aversion, willingness to do criminal activity, career preference, etc., that you might describe as the personality of that bot. And so they don't all come to the same decision. But looking at Quanta as a player, there's a different way of looking at Quanta, and that is that once fully implemented in the game, they're going to be your competition. If you are looking for the best trading opportunities, then so are the Quanta. And without something to tilt things in your favor, the Quantum are certainly going to beat your asses at it because they act at computer speed, have perfect access to underlying data, and there are 9 times as many of them. For most professions in Star Citizen, PvE is actually going to be PvQ, player versus Quanta. Which brings up a regular irritation I've had at Tony Zerovich's presentations. He shows a lot of cool tools that they have for their own understanding, analyzing, and visualizing the behavior of the Quanta, but no discussion, and apparently even interest, in how players can understand what is going on in the economy and even have a remote chance of competing against the bots. I'm not saying that Tony Z or his team should change their focus, but that somebody has to have that as their thing. Preferably somebody with experience in creating decision support systems, which is a subspecialty of user interface design that focuses on how to present complex data in a way that helps people make good decisions. But the implementation of Quanta in 3.17 is very limited, and without any tools for presenting it to the player, it's hard to see any of it working at all unless you really know what you're supposed to be looking for. The first thing you might notice in 3.17 is that there's a whole lot more requests for combat assistance, and that they are pretty substantial in their rewards, but also weirdly specific in their reward prices. And that would apparently because they are being generated because a hauler Quanta has intersected with a pirate Quanta, and ping, a call for help is generated. Now, if everything's working right, and that is a big if, it looks like the rewards are high enough that a team in something like a hurricane can make a good haul per hour while, extra bonus, helping keep prices low and stable in the entire verse. But how do you know where is the best place to hang out to catch the pirate Quanta and earn well, and if you know what, should you succeed in pacifying that area, where the new hotspot is? Not unless you can discern some sort of pattern from the request, which is essentially impossible because the only thing the request gives is the distance. A heat map of Quanta pirate activity would be nice, but it doesn't exist in 3.17 and has never been promised. Among the main commodities that is being managed by Quanta in 3.17 is fuel prices. One weird way you can see this in the game is if you are a Starfarer captain, is at your fuel console, right next to the entry field to set the price you are charging for fuel, is a button that says Auto. Select the Auto button and the fuel price will be filled in. Click it even a few moments later, though, and the price will be different. Clearly, something is going on to set the market price on a minute-by-minute basis behind the scenes, and clearly that something is the Quanta. But if I wanted to move my Starfarer to some place where the market price for fuel was higher and make more money, how would I know where to go? Absolutely no way. And from the refueling customer, the problem is just as bad. In the real world, I can just type gas stations into any mapping info, even Bing Maps, and get a display of nearly every gas station and the price of unleaded gas there. But nothing like that is in the game. Maybe we might hope for something with the star map rework, but nobody has promised it. It isn't even as though we can fly someplace and look at the signs saying what the price is like how we did before the internet, because there isn't even a sign. You have to land, call up the service app, and then see what the price is. But there is, in fact, a little thing that can help, but at least in 3.17p, it is a little better than useless. And that is the commodity price alert, which does include alerts for plasma fuel, which apparently is the same, or at least related, to hydrogen fuel. It is not, like everything else on the commodity price alert, something that you go to the admin office and buy from a trade terminal. No, it is what you're going to be paying at the pump. But for example, on this alert, we have Edmund, Ariel, and Bezdek. Are they really giving away fuel for free? No, it is only that their price, at the third decimal place, rounds down to 0 when shown in 2 decimal places. So, for example, it might be 0.0049, which rounds down to 0.00 at 2 decimal places, but definitely not free. Similarly, if the price at Perlman might only be a tiny bit higher than Bezdek, say 0.0051, which at 2 decimal places rounds up to 0.01. So the actual difference in the price between these 2 places might be far smaller than what is shown. But there's no way to know. And no way even to know how much the places that are in overstock are actually cheaper than those that don't qualify for being in overstock. So, for example, the not in overstock threshold might be 0.006, also rounded up to 0.01. I've made a recommendation to CIG to do the obvious thing of listing the price per 1,000 units, which would make the significant digits visible, which would be a huge improvement, but at least as of 3.17p, that hasn't been done. But even if there are obvious problems with this list, the list being overstock prices in Ariel and at Bezdek. But Bezdek is on Ariel, so what does the Ariel listing represent? Is it a duplicate, or is it talking about some other station other than Bezdek on Ariel? Who knows? And it still doesn't help with anything about the refueling locations not in overstock. What do they charge? This is a problem that needs solutions beyond an unsorted text list. But as little information as we know about Quanta are affecting fuel prices, it pales in compared to how little information we are given about the other thing being affected by Quanta in 3.17, and that is repair materials. And I have definitely seen repair bills of many thousands of credits for a small ship in 3.17, way more expensive than it was in 3.16. But there is neither signs, price maps, nor commodity price alerts. Just you go to the station, call up the Mobiglass, and see the cost to repair. Is anybody really going to drag their damaged ship from station to station trying to discover which one has the lower repair costs? Of course not. Sure, maybe there is some amazing simulation going on behind the scenes with 100,000 bots, but unless there's some way to present it understandably to the player, from their standpoint, it might as well just be a random number generator. Now, to be clear, I really appreciate the work that has been done on Quantum, and I'm excited to see it finally being integrated even in a limited way in 3.17. But even in that limited integration, it is clear that we are well past the point where somebody needs to take charge of making the economic reality generated by Quanta into a form presentable, comprehensible, and actionable by the players. It needs to be someone with a decision support systems mindset, not an econometric simulation mindset. And if Tony Z and his crew want to stay focused on the economic simulation, which, hey, does still have a long road of work ahead of it, then CIG should find or hire the right people in the user experience team. And now for an update on the Grow the Channel Ship giveaway. As of recording, we're at 52% of the subscriber goal and 42% of the membership goal for being able to release to some lucky player their choice of the Anvil Liberator, that shipping ship for shipping your ships, or the Misk Odyssey, the long-duration exploration carrier. One entry per video, members are entered automatically, and if a member of the publishing date, they will win both ships. For everybody else, just be a subscriber and comment with the secret word. And the secret word for this video is the year that Tony Zervik joined the project. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Daniel Raymond for Ray's Guide.